Close your eyes and dive right in. World unknown, a journey begins. Steer your thoughts, shift your fate. Hack yourself, don't wait, don't hesitate. Waves of sound, guide your dreams. Ancient wisdom, modern schemes. Business goals, life's grand design. Unlock the power of your own mind. Hypnotize your mind, find your way. Self-hypnosis every day. Coach yourself, rise up strong. This is your mantra, this is your song.
Grand Rising, beautiful human, no matter what time you're watching, and welcome to the Healing Trauma in Nature podcast event for Sunday, June 28th, 2026, where together we are building the Human Programmer Academy, Lesson 3, One Loop, Then Choose. Now, I have been working tirelessly to build the Hack Nation community and this life-changing course, the Human Programmer Academy, for you guys. And I've done everything short of breaking into your phone and creating your free account for you. All you have to do is go to hack-yourself.net, hackyourself.net right now to create your free account. The PDF workbook download is waiting for you. The self-hypnosis session is waiting. The Human Programmer Academy is waiting. The website is www.hack-yourself.net. Now listen carefully. Watching this on YouTube is like standing outside the gym, reading motivational posters. HackYourself.net is where we actually pick up the weights. One inspires you, the other changes you. So if you're serious about becoming the programmer instead of the program, pause this video now, go to hackyourself.net, create your free account, join Hack Nation and our supportive community of conscious creators so you can grab all the free resources. Because this is the only commercial break reminder you're getting this lesson. The observer has noticed. The loop has been completed. Now make your choice. Very good. That's right. Let's continue. Human Programmer Academy Lesson 3. One loop, then choose. Opening story. The horse and the rider. Imagine a rider traveling through the forest on a horseback. The horse hears a sound in the bushes. Instantly, it jumps. Its muscles tighten. Its heart races. Its body prepares for danger. The horse did exactly what it was designed to do. Reaction first, thinking later. This keeps the horse safe. Now imagine the rider becoming angry, yelling at the horse, demanding it to stop reacting, calling it stupid and thinking that it's broken. That would be ridiculous. The horse is simply being a horse. And yet, every day, people do exactly that to themselves. A feeling appears, a thought appears, a trigger, and immediately they begin attacking themselves for reacting. The human programmer understands something different. The horse reacts. The rider chooses. The body reacts. The observer chooses. Today, we learn this space between those two things. The first loop is automatic. It is programming. It is habit. It is conditioning. It is the nervous system running yesterday's code. Someone criticizes you, the stomach tightens, the chest contracts, and a thought appears. That happened before you had a chance to choose. The first loop is not the problem. The first loop is simply information. Imagine a smoke alarm. It's mounted on the ceiling. Its job is simple. Detect danger. Make noise. That is all. Now imagine becoming angry at the smoke alarm because it went off. Imagine yelling at it, threatening it, thinking that it malfunctioned in a room filled with smoke. That would make no sense. The alarm is doing exactly what it was designed to do. Your nervous system works the same way. The first loop is a notification, information. It is your body's best guess about what might keep you safe. Sometimes it is accurate. Other times it is reacting to a fire that happened 20 years ago. Sometimes it is reacting to a fire that never existed at all. But either way, it is just trying to help you. Human programmers stop fighting the alarm. Instead, we simply learn to listen. And when we stop for a moment, and in that small space, we decide what to do next. Because the alarm is not the problem. Believing every alarm is truth is the problem. Most people believe if I reacted, I failed. Human programmers understand if I noticed the reaction, I succeeded. Awareness is victory, not perfection. The goal is not to stop the first loop. The goal is to shorten it. Why we attack ourselves. Let's look at something fascinating. Most people don't suffer because they have emotions. They suffer because they have emotions about their emotions. Fear appears, and they become afraid of being afraid. Anger emerges, and they become ashamed of being angry. Sadness comes up, then they criticize themselves for feeling sad. The first loop wasn't the suffering. The second loop created the suffering. Imagine falling down, then standing up and punching yourself in the face for falling. That's what many people do emotionally. The human programmer takes a different approach. The first loop arrives. Awareness notices. Compassion enters. And suddenly, the cycle begins to soften. Not because the emotion disappeared, but because the war against the emotion ended. Viktor Frankl once said, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. Inside that space lives freedom." Most people never notice the space. Programming fills it immediately. Someone says, "You disappointed me." Immediately, defend, explain, attack, withdraw. Programming chooses. But the human programmer pauses instead. Most people think the gap is huge. It isn't. At first, it may only be 1 second, maybe less. Maybe a single breath. Maybe the moment between receiving a text message and responding. Maybe the moment between hearing criticism and defending yourself. Maybe the moment between feeling anxiety and believing every thought that anxiety produces. At first, the gap is small, tiny, almost invisible. But so is the steering wheel of a ship. And yet, that tiny wheel determines the entire direction of the vessel. Small choices, repeated consistently, create entirely different futures. The human programmer trains the gap, not because the gap is large, but because it is powerful. Allow yourself one loop, one emotional wave, one reaction, one nervous system response. Then make a conscious choice. Not 20 loops, not 3 days, not 6 months. One loop. Then choose. Because awareness without choice becomes rumination. The two wolves of habit. There is an old story. A grandfather tells his grandson. Inside every human being lives two wolves. One wolf is fear, anger, resentment, victimhood, reaction. The other wolf is awareness, compassion, patience, wisdom, choice. The grandson asks, "Which wolf wins?" Grandfather smiles. "The one you feed." Now let's update that story. The human programmer understands something important. The reactive wolf is not evil. The reactive wolf was trying to protect you. The problem is not that the wolf exists. The problem is allowing it to drive the vehicle. The observer can appreciate the wolf, listen to the wolf, even thank the wolf, and still choose a different direction. That is maturity. That is self-leadership. That is programming consciously. Here are some everyday examples that we can learn from. Social media. Let's start with a modern example. You open Facebook, Instagram, or the YouTubes, and someone disagrees with you. Not politely, but aggressively. Maybe they call you names. Maybe they attack your character. Maybe they completely misunderstand what you were trying to say. And instantly, the first loop appears. Your chest tightens. Your jaw clenches. Your fingers start typing. The mind begins preparing a courtroom defense. You gather evidence. You prepare arguments. You imagine proving them wrong. Now pause here. Notice the loop. Then choose. Maybe you respond. Maybe you don't. Maybe you clarify. Maybe you walk away. But now, the response comes from awareness instead of programming. You realize something. Not every invitation to battle requires your attendance. The unexpected bill. You're having a good day. You check the mail or your email, and there it is. A bill you completely forgot about. $500, $1,000, maybe more. Instantly, the first loop arrives with panic, fear, anger. The mind begins creating movies. What if I can't pay it? What if things get worse? What if everything falls apart? Pause. Notice the loop. Then choose. The bill is real. The fear is real. But the catastrophe of a movie you created about it, that is completely optional. The human programmer doesn't deny reality. The human programmer responds to reality with inspired action instead of unconscious reaction. One step at a time, one phone call, one solution, one action. Instead of freezing under the weight of 10,000 imaginary disasters. The text message. You send a text. Hours pass. No response. The first loop begins. And it sounds like they must be upset. Maybe I said something wrong. Maybe they don't like me. Maybe they're ignoring me. Notice what happened. The mind received no information, so it fabricated a story. Once we see it, we simply pause and make a choice. Maybe they're busy. Maybe they're driving. Maybe they're working. Maybe they just haven't even seen the message yet. The human programmer learns that uncertainty is not an emergency. What about the wrong turn? Imagine you're driving somewhere important. You miss the exit. Immediately, the first loop appears. Frustration, annoyance, maybe anger, maybe self-criticism. How could I be so stupid? I always do this. Pause and choose. You are 3 minutes off course, not 3 years, not 3 decades, 3 minutes. The event is small. The reaction is large. Awareness helps restore proportion. And suddenly, you simply take the next exit. In the gym, you tell yourself you're going to the gym on Monday. Monday arrives. The alarm goes off, and the first loop immediately appears. I'm tired. I'll start tomorrow. I don't feel motivated. I deserve a day off. Pause. Notice something. The first loop isn't trying to help you grow. The first loop is trying to conserve energy. The nervous system loves familiar. It loves predictable. It loves comfortable. Choose, not because motivation arrived, because you decided. The human programmer understands something powerful. The first feeling does not get the final vote. The family gathering. You're at a family event. Someone makes a comment. Maybe they bring up politics. Maybe religion. Maybe an old wound. Instantly, the first loop activates. The body tightens. The emotions rise. The old program begins to awaken. But you pause. Notice. Choose. Do I want peace? Or do I want to win? Because those are often much, much different goals. And for the first time, you realize that you have a choice. The mirror. This might be the most important example of all. You look in the mirror, and immediately the first loop begins. I'm not attractive enough. I'm too old. I'm too overweight. I'm behind in life. I'm not where I should be. Notice what just happened. The program started talking, but you pause and choose. What if that voice is not truth? What if it's simply old software? What if the observer noticed the criticism without becoming the criticism? This is where self-worth begins. Not when the criticism disappears, when you stop believing every word it says. The goal is not to eliminate the first loop. The first loop is human. The goal is to stop building a house inside the first loop. Feel it. Notice it. Learn from it. Then choose. Because one loop is information. 10,000 loops become suffering. And the moment you learn the difference, your life begins to change. Let's imagine two people experiencing the same exact event. A client says no. Person A experiences rejection, then thinks about it all day, then talks about it all evening, then replays it before bed, and wakes up and thinks about it again. One event, hundreds of loops. Person B experiences rejection, feels it, acknowledges it, learns from it, then chooses to move forward. Same event, different future. Completely different fates. Many people are not trapped by events. They are trapped by repetition. The loop becomes more painful than the trigger. The human programmer simply interrupts repetition with awareness. One loop, then choose. The power of the pause. The pause is where identity changes. The pause is where programs get updated. The pause is where self-leadership begins. Without the pause, we remain passengers. With the pause, we become programmers. Many people think leadership means influencing others, but true leadership begins much closer to home. Leadership begins when you stop allowing old programs to make every decision. Leadership begins when you notice the reaction without becoming the reaction. Leadership begins when you can feel fear without obeying fear. Feel anger without obeying anger. Feel sadness without becoming sadness. Anyone can react. Programming reacts. Leadership chooses. The pause is where leadership is born. Imagine your future self, the version of you that is calm, grounded, confident? Do they never get triggered? No. They simply return faster. They have shortened the loop. They simply choose much sooner. Because they have practiced. Imagine meeting your future self 5 years from now, 10 years from now. The version of you who has already healed, already grown, already learned and expanded. Imagine watching them move through life. A challenge appears. Do they panic? No. A criticism appears. Do they collapse? No. Not because they are superhuman. Not because they never feel emotions. Because they learn something you are learning right now. They trust the first loop, but they don't worship it. They feel it, observe it, learn from it, and then they choose. That future version of you is not different because life became easier. They are different because the pause became stronger. And every time you practice this lesson, you move closer to becoming them. The first loop is not failure. The first loop is not weakness. The first loop is not evidence that you are broken. The first loop is evidence that your nervous system is active, doing its best, protecting you the only way it knows how. But now you know something new. You know there is a pause, a space, a doorway, a choice. You are no longer trapped inside every reaction. You are no longer required to obey every thought. You are no longer required to believe every emotion. You can notice, pause, and choose. And every time you do, you strengthen the human programmer within. One loop, then choose. One breath, then choose. Because that tiny space between stimulus and response is where your future is created. Meeting the observer taught us how to notice. One loop, then choose, taught us how to respond. The next question becomes, what exactly am I responding to? Because most people don't understand emotions. They only react to them. So do the guided self-hypnosis installation session on the next page to put these ideas that we've discussed here today deep in your unconscious mind. Then I will meet you in lesson 4 whenever you are ready, so we can talk about emotional weather, learning how emotions move through the human system.
Start to receive guidance, clarity from within. With each breath, let change begin. Hypnotize your mind, find your way. Self-hypnosis every day. Coach yourself, rise up strong. This is your mantra, this is your song. Hypnotize your mind, find your way. Self-hypnosis every day. Coach yourself, rise up strong. This is your mantra, this is your song. Hypnotize your mind, find your way. Self-hypnosis every day. Coach yourself, rise up strong. This is your mantra, this is your song.